Have you ever looked at the lives of great thinkers and visionaries? Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, William Shakespeare, Nelson Mandela, and wondered how could my life ever compare to theirs? Their lives seem so grand, so meaningful, so impactful. But what if we've been measuring meaning all wrong? Carl Jung, one of the most influential minds of the 20th century, believed that the purpose of life isn't about what you achieve, it's about who you become. Your purpose isn't found in fame, fortune, or even legacy. It's found in self-awareness, in facing your deepest truths, and in embracing every part of who you are, even the parts you try to hide. In today's video, we'll uncover how Jung's revolutionary philosophy, particularly his concept of the shadow, can guide you to discover your true life's purpose. Not by looking outward, but by looking inward. Not by striving for perfection, but by embracing wholeness. This journey won't be easy. In fact, it may be the hardest thing you'll ever do. But if you're willing to face your darkness, what lies on the other side is nothing short of transformation. Let's begin. Chapter 1, Get to Know Your Darkness. Your visions will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes? Carl Jung, we all want to live meaningful lives. We all want to feel that our existence matters, that there's a reason we're here. But how can you possibly understand your life's purpose if you don't even fully understand who you are? Most people think they know themselves. After all, you know your likes and dislikes. You've taken personality quizzes, reflected on your past, maybe even gone to therapy. But according to Jung, truly knowing yourself, really knowing yourself requires something deeper, self-realization. And self-realization begins with confronting the part of yourself that you've spent your whole life ignoring. The shadow, your hidden self. Jung believed that each of us is made up of both conscious and unconscious parts. The conscious self is everything we're aware of, our thoughts, our behaviors, our identity. But underneath that lies the unconscious mind, an ocean of hidden emotions, desires, and traits that influence us more than we care to admit. At the core of this unconscious realm is what Jung called the shadow, the dark side of the self. But don't be mistaken, darkness doesn't mean evil. It simply refers to the parts of yourself you've rejected, repressed, or denied. Your shadow might include so-called negative traits like anger, laziness, jealousy, or fear. But it can also contain abandoned passions, dreams you were told were silly, or creative impulses that never had the chance to bloom. You might think, that's not me, but that's exactly the point. These parts have been buried so long, they no longer feel like yours. You've built your identity, the version of yourself you present to the world around what's acceptable. This identity is your persona, the psychological mask you wear to fit in. But behind the mask is the truth. And if you want to discover your purpose, you have to meet the whole you, light and dark strengths and flaws. How to begin shadow work? Shadow work is the process of uncovering and integrating your hidden self. It's not a one-time task, it's a lifelong practice. But you can begin right now. Start by asking yourself tough questions. When did I feel triggered today? Why did I judge that person so harshly? What traits in others do I most dislike? And could those be reflections of something I don't want to see in myself? This process is called projection. We often despise in others what we fear or repress in ourselves. For instance, if you can't stand arrogance, ask yourself, have I been taught to fear self-expression or confidence? If laziness drives you crazy, is it because you were never allowed to rest without guilt? Journaling and meditation can help you unpack these layers. Write without censorship. Reflect without judgment. Ask, explore, and observe. Jung emphasized that acknowledging the shadow doesn't mean identifying with it. You are not your anger, your envy, or your shame. But you cannot heal what you will not face. Why this matters for finding purpose? You might be wondering, how does all this help me find my purpose? Because your life's purpose is not a goal you chase, it's a truth you uncover. And that truth lives not in the polished version of yourself, but in the raw, messy, often painful parts that you've been hiding. When you explore your shadow, you begin to reclaim parts of your identity that hold the key to your fulfillment. A desire to help others, a talent you suppressed, a curiosity you never let yourself follow. Purpose is born from integration, from becoming whole. As Jung said, I don't aspire to be a good man. I aspire to be a whole man. Wholeness isn't about perfection. It's about inclusion. It's about knowing all of who you are, embracing it and letting that truth shape the life you live. The pain of self-discovery and why it's worth it. Shadow work isn't easy. In fact, it can be deeply unsettling. As you uncover parts of yourself you've long buried, you may feel worse before you feel better. You may realize how often you've betrayed your own values to keep the peace, or how much of your identity was built to meet others' expectations. But don't run from this discomfort. Let it wake you up. Jung believed that facing our darkness is not a detour from life, it's the path to meaning. When we shine light into our inner shadows, we reclaim power. We stop reacting blindly and begin responding consciously. We break cycles, we rewrite stories, and we discover a kind of freedom that cannot be found in achievements or applause. Your purpose is unique and so are you. There's no universal blueprint for a meaningful life. According to Jung, your purpose is as unique as your fingerprint. It's not something you find in a book or adopt from a role model. It's something you cultivate within. Maybe your purpose is to create, to teach, to heal, to lead. Or maybe it's simply to live truthfully, to love fiercely, to grow endlessly. You won't find it by copying others. You'll find it by listening deeply honestly to the voice within. What's next? Commit to the journey. So where do you go from here? Start small. Begin journaling. Practice mindfulness. Observe your reactions. Lean into discomfort instead of avoiding it. Seek help if you need it, therapy, coaching, or deep conversations with those you trust. Remember, shadow work is not a destination. It's a daily decision to live with awareness. And every day you show up for that work, you bring more light to your life and to the world around you. Carl Jung's teachings continue to resonate because they don't offer easy answers. They invite courageous exploration. And through that exploration, you'll discover the purpose you were always meant to live. Chapter 2. Reclaiming power from the shadow. Many people believe that if they just hide their flaws, never show anger, never indulge in envy, never give in to laziness, they'll somehow erase those traits from existence. And it makes sense at first glance, doesn't it? Aren't the kindest people the ones who never show their anger? Aren't the most successful the ones who push through fatigue and keep going no matter what? Isn't the very definition of strength? Restraint? Well, yes and no. There's a hidden cost to repression, a heavy price for sweeping your darker traits under the rug and pretending they don't exist. Because here's the truth, what you repress doesn't disappear. It hides, it festers, and eventually it erupts. Have you ever known someone who's normally calm until they snap with terrifying rage out of nowhere? Or a person who's a workaholic until they collapse into exhaustion and burnout? That's the shadow unacknowledged and ignored for too long, demanding to be seen. Making the shadow useful. Now that you've begun to recognize your own shadow, those uncomfortable, inconvenient traits that live within you, what should you do with them? Use them. Your anger, for example, isn't inherently bad. Uncontrolled, yes, it can destroy. But when someone crosses a boundary, anger can become your inner protector. It's what gives you the courage to say no, to speak up, to draw a line where it's long overdue. The question isn't, how do I eliminate this emotion? It's, when is this emotion appropriate? When should I lean into my persona to adapt? And when is it safe or necessary to drop the mask? This mindset shift from judgment to integration can transform how you navigate life. When negative traits become powerful tools. Envy can become a motivator. It can show you what you truly desire but have denied yourself. Laziness can be a cry for rest, a reminder to slow down, recharge, and reprioritize. Impatience can spark bold action in moments where passivity won't serve you. When you explore the context of your feelings, instead of labeling them good or bad, you begin to evolve. You step into nuance, and in that space you start to live more deliberately, more intelligently, and more honestly. The shadow isn't here to punish you, it's here to teach you. It holds lessons about your unmet needs, your abandoned desires, your buried truths. Your work isn't to destroy your shadow, it's to bring it into the light, to make peace with it, to give it a place at your table without letting it take control of the feast. Only when you do this can you begin to truly grow. Integration, becoming more yourself. Self-integration is what happens when you stop fighting with yourself. When you no longer need to hide your flaws to feel lovable or worthy. When you recognize that every part of you has something to offer, even the parts you once rejected. This is the moment you begin to feel whole. You become more authentic, more grounded, more at peace. And when you stop pretending to be someone you're not, the purpose of your life starts to reveal itself not in grand visions or cosmic signs, but in small, meaningful shifts, in clarity, in alignment, in self-trust. Because how can you know what you want from life if you don't know who you truly are? Once your shadow is integrated, you're not just acting out an identity, you're becoming it. And that's when your purpose stops being a question and starts becoming a path. Chapter 3. Take action. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Carl Jung. Here's the thing about purpose. It doesn't live in your thoughts. It doesn't exist in your journal, your dreams, or your Pinterest boards. Purpose lives in practice, in choices, in action. Once you know who you are, once you've stared down your darkness and understood your values, you must begin to act. Jung insisted that self-realization is meaningless unless it's expressed through behavior. You can't just think your way into being the person you want to become. You have to live it. Stop living reactively. Too many of us live reactively. We wait, we hope. We respond to what life throws at us instead of shaping life on our terms. We wait for friendships to find us. We wait for promotions to fall in our lap. We wait for the perfect moment to start that project, leave that job, write that book. But waiting rarely brings meaning. Waiting is not a strategy, it's an excuse. If you want your life to feel different, you must do something different. You must initiate. You must create opportunities, not just respond to them. How to start living actively. So what does it mean to live actively? It means challenging yourself regularly, intentionally. Ask yourself, what do I truly believe in morally, spiritually, philosophically? Am I acting in alignment with those beliefs every day? What do I want this year? In 5 years? How do I want to impact others? What kind of world do I want to help create? You don't need to have all the answers, but you do need to start asking the questions. Write, meditate, reflect, then act even if it's a small step. A real-world example. Let's say you dream of becoming a published author. What's stopping you? Many aspiring writers wait for inspiration to strike, for time to magically appear for their masterpiece to write itself. But real authorship doesn't work that way. A committed writer sets a schedule and writes regularly whether they feel like it or not, seeks feedback when stuck, pushes through creative blocks with discipline, not just motivation, reaches out to agents, editors, and publishers proactively. They don't just dream, they do. Another example, purpose beyond career. Not everyone finds purpose through career. Maybe your purpose is more abstract, like nurturing future generations. That could take many forms: parenting, teaching, mentoring, volunteering, starting a nonprofit, running for local office. But the principle remains the same. Once you know your why, you must define your how. What path will you take? What sacrifices will it demand? What action must you take today to get there? Meaning demands movement. You can survive in a reactive life, but you cannot thrive in it. You cannot find meaning in passivity. You cannot find purpose in waiting. You must meet your life halfway. You must risk. You must move. And when you do, the path reveals itself step by step. Chapter 4, Embrace Fear. Your next task lies within it. Where your fear is, there is your task. Carl Jung. Let's be honest, fear is one of the biggest reasons we hesitate to live actively, to take meaningful risks, or to pursue the life we deeply want. And yet most of us try to suppress it. We tell ourselves we're fine. We pretend we don't care. We bury fear deep in the shadow, hoping it will vanish. But it never does. In fact, like every repressed emotion, it only grows stronger. Here's the truth: fear is not your enemy. It's a compass. Fear shows you what matters. It reveals the places in your life where growth is waiting. It signals the very things you must face if you want to live meaningfully. Writing a book. You'll have to overcome the fear of rejection, of not being good enough, of being judged. Pursuing a new career. You'll have to face the fear of failure, the fear of instability, and the fear that it might all go wrong. But let's be clear. Bravery doesn't mean having no fear. It means acting in spite of it. So how do you manage fear? Start by naming it. Shine a light on it. Ask yourself, what am I really afraid of? What could go wrong? How would I handle it if it did? Then prepare, but don't catastrophize. Preparation is grounding. It helps you move forward with clarity, but don't confuse preparation with spiraling. If you want to publish a book, prepare for some rejections, but don't waste your energy imagining critics laughing at your work or plotting to steal your idea. Focus on likely risks, not unlikely nightmares. Once you've done what you can to prepare, act. Dive into the unknown. That's where transformation lives. Every brave person you admire didn't avoid fear, they walked directly into it. And if you're looking for purpose, Jung would say, look where you're most afraid to go. That's where your meaning is waiting. Chapter 5, accept the bad because meaning requires it. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. Carl Jung, you've explored your shadow. You've committed to action. You've embraced fear. Does this mean your life will now be perfect? Not even close. Perfection is an illusion. In fact, some of the most fulfilled, influential, and purpose-driven people in history have also endured the greatest struggles. Why? Because they took the greatest risks. They refused to stay safe. They pursued meaning, not comfort. And when you chase purpose, you will inevitably encounter pain, disappointment, and failure. But here's the paradox. Those very experiences are what give life depth. Think about it. What makes joy feel so beautiful? The fact that you know what sorrow feels like. What makes success meaningful? The fact that it wasn't guaranteed, that you worked for it, that you could have failed. There can be no light without shadow. Turning misfortune into meaning. When something bad happens, when your manuscript is rejected, when your business idea flops, when your plans fall apart, you might be tempted to despair. But Jung urges us to reframe it. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What does this teach me about myself? How can I grow from it? Every mistake, every failure, every moment of loss reveals something about who you are. Maybe you learn you need to be more grounded, or more assertive, or more resilient. And sometimes you simply learn that you're stronger than you thought. That alone is worth everything. So when life disappoints you, don't see it as a step back. See it as another page in the story of your self-discovery. It's not about the outcome. It's about the effort. Let's say you chase a dream, write your book, change careers, go back to school, and it doesn't work out. Did you fail? Not according to Jung, because your life's meaning doesn't come from the result. It comes from the effort, from the courage it took to try, from what you discovered about yourself along the way. Even if you don't make it, you'll know something essential. You are the kind of person who acts, who dares, who grows. That truth, that self-knowledge is the root of purpose. Keep growing, keep acting, keep discovering. Meaning is not a one-time discovery. It's not a treasure you find and then keep forever. Meaning must be renewed. It must be built action by action, choice by choice. There will be highs, there will be lows, there will be days when you feel unstoppable and others when you feel completely lost. But that's what makes your life beautiful. The unique combination of your efforts, your failures, your passions, and your perseverance. You are not defined by how many things go right. You are defined by how often you rise, how often you dare to live in alignment with who you really are. Be proud of what you tried. At the end of the day, what matters most is not how successful you are by the world's standards, but how deeply you tried to be your true self. Celebrate your efforts. Honor your failures. Be grateful for everything that shaped you, the good, the bad, and the in-between. Because your life already has purpose. As long as you're showing up with honesty, as long as you're willing to grow, or as long as you're committed to becoming the best version of yourself, your life is meaningful. If this message resonated with you, make sure to check out our full Philosophies for Life playlist. You'll find more inspiring videos that explore success, happiness, and wisdom through the lens of the world's greatest thinkers. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, let's grow together. Thanks for watching. Be bold, be kind, and above all, be yourself.